Oh, okay. There I go. Good morning. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Yes, you know where you are. You are tuned to the Madam Prezident morning show as usual. It is a pleasure to be with you this morning. You know the song. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me, and I appreciate that so greatly. I got a show for you today, okay? But before I go any further, you know I got to play my theme song because I don't know. It has to happen. Okay, that's how we got to get our morning going, okay? Just off the energy of gratitude, a lot of gratitude for just having the opportunity to have a chance at the day. I think I heard someone say before, once you start changing your mindset, once you start changing your perspective, things start shifting. When you start saying, I get the chance to go to work today, you start to feel different about how you walk into the building. When you start saying to yourself, I get the chance to work on my business today, you start to attack it very differently. So all that to say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with me. Before we go any further, I'd just like to say a quick prayer. I also have Instagram Live here. Everybody on Instagram Live, if you're not tuned in on YouTube, you will miss the interface interaction that will happen with me and this beautiful businesswoman, business mind, Janice Fredericks. All right. But before I go any further, let me just say a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for waking us up today. Thank you for allowing us to see this day. We do not take it for granted. We appreciate you. We love you. We look to you for all things. We know to you, all things come from you. With you, things are possible. Without you, nothing is possible. We appreciate you. We love you. Guide us, protect us. In your name we pray. Amen. All right. Have to get the prayer out the way because without the Creator, nothing is possible. That's just first and foremost. Without God, nothing is possible. Nothing. Okay. So all that to say, I have a wonderful, amazing guest today and that I am so excited about because, as a Black woman who has been going to the beauty supply store her entire life, okay, and to meet and to have interaction and to have conversation with a woman who says, I know, not only do I know how this began, I help Black women begin the journey. All women, all creeds, men as well, begin the journey of entrepreneurship in the hardcore beauty supply industry. We always talk about those pioneers, those trailblazers in the community, the Harriet Tubmans of this time. Yes, we have one with us today. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, do not take it for granted. This is going to be a beautiful segment. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to have a wonderful conversation with the Janice Fredericks. Ladies and gentlemen, give her a round of applause as she entered the building. Yes. Welcome.
Thank you. What an amazing intro, child. I am so excited. I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. I wanted to try to introduce the audience to you as well. I'm going to play this small clip from one of your Instagram feeds that I saw. And I'm just going to play this really quickly, then I'm going to hop into the conversation with you, okay? All right, here it goes right here.
Yeah, it has been one of the most rewarding things. For the past 7 years, we've helped Black women make over 10 million in beauty supply with just the people in our tribe, and we continue to help bring women along.
So now, from the experience of opening beauty supply stores, you now took that into your program and you've helped hundreds of women open their own stores. How's that been?
Yeah, it has been one of the most rewarding things. For the past 7 years, we've helped Black women make over 10 million in beauty supply with just the people in our tribe, and we continue to help bring women along.
So now.
All right, so I just wanted to introduce them really quickly, just from that clip alone, letting them know I'm sitting with a pioneer. I'm not sitting with just anybody. So thank you, Janice, so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited. I'm fired up for the conversation and just letting, people know about this opportunity that exists, because a lot of times we just don't know what's possible for us because we just don't see the representation. That was my story, but we're going to get to the story. So I want to make sure
Okay. Well, speaking of representation and what's possible, that's the number one question. How did you get into the beauty supply industry?
Yes, so I was a corporate girly, and I remember just sitting in a beauty supply store one day. I had wanted to open a business, so it was either I'll go into the master's degree route, or I would take a chance with entrepreneurship. So many of us want to be entrepreneurs. We just don't know what that thing is. I knew I also wanted to do something passion driven too. So I was in a beauty supply store, and I just remember just standing there, not being helped. This is a store that I've been going to for a very long time. It was always the same lackluster experience, but we spend a lot of money there, right? And what's crazy when you think about spending a lot of money places, you can go to one of these high-end stores, spend a lot of money, get some type of champagne experience. But in the beauty supply store, there's absolutely no experience at all. And we spend a lot of money. So I sat there and I just was looking at the transactions. There was about 3,000 worth of transactions within the 30 minutes that I stood there. And then that was just my epiphany moment. Like, this is the business. Like, I see the money. I see the Black women. We're not being treated right. This is what I want to do. However, at that time, I have never seen Black-owned beauty supply store. I didn't know that this was a possibility. This was, back in 2010. So at that time, I didn't even know, like, is this possible? Or do I have to learn Korean? Like, what am I going to have to do? But I knew that if I could take the same products, try to figure out how to get the same pricing, but then add the customer service element to it, that I was going to be successful. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that I could make this happen. I just needed to figure out, like, how do I penetrate through this industry? And that's where I got my start, which is really sitting in a beauty supply store and just feeling like this just does not make sense. This doesn't feel right. I patronize this business. This is really one of the only businesses where I spend a lot of money, but I don't get a good experience in return. Everything else, we can go to Saks, we can go to Nordstrom, wherever you shop, and you get some type of experience, but the beauty supply store.
That's so true. This is just so funny. What's having this conversation makes me think about, like, the first time weave became popular. I don't know if you remember, but it was possibly around, wigs have been a thing, right? So grandparents, all of them, they were wearing wigs. And then weave became a thing, I want to say early 90s. Late 80s, people were still taboo about weave. It was kind of like, girl, you wearing weave? People didn't want to wear it. And now people don't want to wear the hair. It's like, where's the weave? Where's the weave at? So I want to be very transparent in this conversation and just ask you about, like, what year did you start your first store? What year was it, and what has changed since then?
So I started in 2010.
Oh,
yeah, I started in 2010, and that was the time of the big chop, right? So, women, we were doing these big chops. And when I had opened my store, I was still kind of like into weaves. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be, weaves is wigs. It's going to be a little bit of everything. And then when I opened the store, people were like, no, we want to figure out, how do we actually care for our hair? Like, it seemed like this was the first time that Black women was taking the time to care for their hair in a natural way. Because prior to that, there was perms, relaxers, and then it went into weaves and the big chop. So this was actually the amazing opportunity that I had, because I carried a lot of those pioneer brands, Miss Jessie's, Carol's Daughter, like all of the exclusive brands that, now they're in Target and stuff, but all those exclusive brands that were not on the shelves of Target. So we're talking about 2010, Target and Walmart, all these big corporations weren't looking to carry Black-owned products on their shelves, but I did. So I became that space where I can now collaborate with these Black owned brands, carry the products, and then now give it to their Black consumer. So truly at the time, I always say like this was really the time where I felt like our Black dollar really circulated in the community, because now you were going to a Black retailer to buy your product. We hire Black people. And so that's why I feel the importance of having like Black owned beauty supply store, Black owned businesses. Like this is our opportunity to really empower the community, because this is how we actually circulate our Black dollar.
Absolutely. So one time, Dr. Boyce Watkins, he was having an event. I do not believe it was the All Black National Convention, but it was an event, and it was in Atlanta. This was years ago, but I will never forget. There was a at the hotel, I don't know, maybe a Hilton or something, but the guy, he was a bellman, and as the bellman, he like did something. I gave Dr. Boyce, he did something for Dr. Boyce. Dr. Boyce gave him a $20 tip. This is how the tip ended up coming to me. So I am working the event. I'm selling the Freedom Company products, and we're talking, and we're talking about the Black dollar circulating. And this guy who was the bellman at the store, at the hotel, he comes to my table and he's purchasing something, and he says, you know, Dr. Watkins gave me this dollar just yesterday. He said, I'm spending it with you today. He says, but just imagine if we had an ecosystem,
Yes.
this was continuous for at least 50 times.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, you know, because that's how it goes. You know, if we buy here, we get the merchandise, we provide the product, we employ the community, then we have a cycle, then things start shifting.
Yeah.
So I'm in 100% agreement with you. Now, do you do this in all cities around the United States, or is it all over the world?
It's all cities throughout the United States. Also, we have people in Canada and the islands. So really, I mean, whenever people call me, I'm there. You know, I'm showing up and I'm helping. So I would love to continue this, you know, in different nations, and really continue to talk about why we need Black owned beauty supply stores, because this is like a whole movement. It's not, you know, just about opening stores. It's really a whole movement, because we spend the most money as Black women in this industry.
Yes, we do. Do you know how much money we spend annually in the hair care industry? I mean, I know people throw out billions, but I was just thinking aloud, like,
yeah, the Black hair care industry by itself is a $3.8 billion industry. There's 9,000 smaller beauty supply stores, and only ownership for Black women is around 2,000. The rest is Asian and Arab.
Wow. And so here's another thing that, while you say that, do we have to go to China or any parts of Asia to really establish ourselves with merchandising and getting products, or no, you have that figured out?
No, we have that figured out. The issue with that part is that we don't have a lot of large Black owned manufacturers. So we have to go through our Asian counterparts. So they have manufacturing, and then they have the distribution. And so they really have the supply chain on lock. That is the issue with trying to get Black people in. And that's why a lot of people call me, because I have those relationships over, 15 years with those vendors. And so, they understand, like, okay, she's here. I mean, they tell me all the time, which is hilarious. They're like, I would never open an account for any of these people if it wasn't for you.
Wow.
They've told me that straight to my face. And sometimes I'm like, okay, that's nice. But then it's also like on the back end, I'm like, this is horrible, because y'all not these accounts. And if you do get the accounts, it's at a higher price. So
right.
Second issue with our Black owned beauty supply stores is because our stuff is higher priced, because we're getting them products at a higher price. So then people complain when they do, try to support that, your price is so high. It's really hard for me to support and things of that nature. So it's like, we're still trying to figure this whole thing out. And, the way that I've currently figured it out is just by leveraging my relationships that I've had in this industry for almost 2 decades, and just trying to bring more people along and get more accounts open. But it's still tough, because they have the supply chain on lock.
So as we have a shift with a this digital world. You know, we have major shifts. But the one thing I personally know for a fact, I don't care how many robots do what. Black folks ain't let no robot cut their hair, do their hair, braid their hair. That's not gonna happen. Not a day in this world. Man, a robot ain't never gonna give me no faux locks, no braids, none of that. You know, so I think about all the different things, but it feels as if the hair care industry will be the industry that is AI proof. I'm not sure though. You tell me. Do you believe?
Let me tell you something. I've lived through 2 recessions in beauty supplies. You know, the first one was the mortgage crisis. The second one was COVID. And I will tell you, throughout both of those, you know, economic downturns, I saw Black people still travel to the beauty supply for their stuff. Like here in New York, we have these, what they call bodegas, these like corner stores, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Black hair care store is a Black woman's bodega. Like this is our sanctuary. This is our safe place in the community. We will forever travel physically to a beauty supply store because people ask me all the time, what about online? What about this? What about that? Like we're here for the experience. And if we can get more Black owned stores open, like we can now create that safe haven, that experience that we are craving, because we are also in a Black girl luxury era right now where Black women, we will spend a little bit more for a really good experience. I personally do. And so when we think about all the other experiences that we have that we'll spend an extra coin on, our Black hair care shopping experience needs to align with that. And that's why I love to create spaces that are luxury, that are high end, that are the champagne experience that we are craving, because we know that this is what we want. But only Black woman would know that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no, I totally agree. When I think about it, I'm a service person. So like some people may spend a lot of money on a nice bag, you know, not more so I'm gonna probably spend the money on, you know, a first class ticket. You know, I'm a service person. That's my arena. You know, I prefer the service. I prefer the, you know, a better experience. And it's just thinking, I was just in Paris, and when I was in Paris, me and my partner, we were walking past all the stores, you know, I like to say Gucci and Prada and Fendi, all these stores, they are consistently just through the streets like our Foot Locker and like our, you know, whatever other, our Macy's, our Dillards. So you go in the mall and all the stores are just in the open, you know, center forum. And you just see these people providing this experience. And there was one couple in particular I remember, you know, they were looking at bags and they had the champagne and they brought out the champagne. I said, one thing for sure, I know that bubbly is popping because that price tag popping too. So, you know, you provide the experience, whatever is required to make people feel like this is money well spent. Absolutely. And you know what's so disappointing is that we don't have the ability to choose these experiences in our neighborhood, but the money still gets spent. I remember going to some of these beauty supply stores they weren't even clean. No. You know, they're not even like clean. There's a language barrier, but that doesn't matter. You know, so sometimes I'm really hard on, I'm sensitive when Black people are like, oh, you have to speak a certain way. That's not true. Right. We spend our money out for years, for centuries, with people not speaking a certain way. You know, they just get our money. That's it. So let me ask you, and I want to ask you the tough questions that people don't get a chance to hear often is, what is the base price for a person who says, I got some money? You know how folks say, I got a little money. I want to start a beauty supply store. What is that little money number that is a good foundation for the start of a beauty supply store?
Yeah, so in my training, I talk about like the different variables. Obviously, you know, where you at in America, what kind of store, big or small. But on a smaller scale, you want to start with around $75,000. That's for everything: inventory to space, build out, payroll. Because what I teach is like, you just don't want to sign yourself up for another job And so we want to make sure we're not, setting up mom and pops to where we are now at the cash register 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we are incorporating hiring people from the community. We're incorporating marketing. Like the way I'm teaching people to set it up is this is going to be a real business, y'all. You're not going to be working there or having your cousin work there. Like we want to set up systems. We want to set up people to actually run this business. We want to set up buyers, because I actually worked in the corporate space on the retail side. So I know how they set it up to where they can truly have that time and financial freedom. But that's the baseline for it.
That's a good number. I think about that. Sometimes some people hear numbers like $75,000 and you feel like, ooh, but I want to tell you that most of you have probably purchased 2 cars at about $75,000 and you haven't got anything from it. So
right.
You do have $75,000. You just
what they bought.
Yeah, and then,
and spending in the house and real estate, and I'm telling you that asset, you living in that house, that's beautiful. And they've taught us like that's this American dream, is to own our home, which I think is true in some respect. But for me, the true dream, American dream or whatever, is really having ownership in a business that can produce the cash flows that you can then take the business cash flows and then buy your home. Not the other way around. It's very hard to do it flip to while you're paying this big mortgage and now you want to go ahead and start your business. Start your business, generate the cash flow so that you can take the business cash flow and then invest it into your home, into your real estate, things of that nature. But I feel like we've been taught the other way around. And so it's really hard to now try to get you to start a business when you've already invested in this home, this real estate, and the mortgage is killing you.
Absolutely. I will say, as a homeowner, I completely understand. And as an entrepreneur, I've been a corporatepreneur for years. So I do both. I work on the corporate side and I also work, I don't like to say corporate, I'm a freelancer in the industry, the entertainment industry. So, it's very ghetto. I would like to say in context of, how things are done. There isn't a lot of protocol. There isn't a lot of bylaws. It's like, we got to get this done. And that kind of pretty much business tactic, it's good for business. When you start running your own business, you kind of get the idea very quickly that do it. But I do believe our education does not promote business ownership.
Right.
I think about one of the things, I thought about this morning for my people that's on Instagram. Our education, and this is for my educated girlies. I need you to hear me and hear me good, because I went to college and I graduated from college. It wasn't that easy for me because my mind was all over the place most times. But when I got a grasp on, oh shit, all they want me to do is read the stuff and report back and get the grade and show up. And okay, I can do that. Once I got the understanding that this is not challenging at all. All I did was read and regurgitate what you read in some form of a writing, paper. If you was in math or accounting, then you were doing the math and letting them know that you understand the math and you can do it. But here's the one thing that the traditional education does to us from being in middle school, and that is they tell you what to do. Most of us do not know what to do with ourselves if no one is telling us what to do. And this is one of the biggest challenges that most people have in entrepreneurship, is because nobody is going to tell you that you need to get your ass up and act like you're running a business. So you waiting on someone to tell you these things when you are the owner and this is your business. Yeah. So these are some of the challenges that we're faced with. And this is kind of interpersonal stuff. This ain't, if I was, a Harvard graduate, you'd be like, oh man, this Harvard graduate said this. I'm not. I'm telling you, because our grandmothers told us, I shouldn't have to, our grandparents used to say, I shouldn't have to tell you what have to be done. That's what they said. Yeah. And all of a sudden we go around, we pay the gurus all this money to tell you to do what you said you was going to do.
Yeah.
It's been told to us for decades. So all that to say that you are a corporate girl and you're struggling with the entrepreneurship side, start getting yourself out of the habit of being directed on what to do. You know what you have to do. And this is me talking to me as well. So all that to say that I'm with you 100%, Janice. But Janice, tell me this. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face in this business?
In terms of people getting started, or just once you get started, what are the challenges?
Both.
Okay. So I will say one of the largest challenges for people that want to get started, one of the greatest obstacles is the funding. Access to funding is the hardest thing. And so we've had to kind of refocus on trying to like work with lenders and develop, again, relationships is everything. So developing relationships with different lenders so that people can get the funding for the store, because a lot of people don't have, $75,000, $100,000, $200,000 to, start a business. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say, once you actually get started, so people would think that our biggest challenge is the Asians. And I did a post on this, and I said a lot of times the biggest challenge once you get started that you don't realize is actually us. People coming to support. Like I said, there's a slight price difference. So I remember experiencing, people tell me all the time, you trying to rip people off with your high prices, not really understanding the back end of even just me having a store here is a miracle, y'all. You just don't even understand what it takes to build this store. But then trying to get people to understand, like, we as Black people, we are just not getting the products at the same price. And so we can't price the same as the Asians. And now we have Target and all these other big box retailers who are doing, crazy sales, like buy one, get one half off. And they do ridiculous deals. Like, we can't compete on price. And that's why I really teach people in my programs that we need to have the superior experience to where people don't feel a way about paying more for the product. But one of the biggest challenges, just as a Black owned beauty supply store, and I just think Black people in business face this, we have these high expectations from our own people that when we start a business, especially a brick and mortar business, there is just this heavy, high expectation that is put on us by our own people to where it's really challenging to actually run the business when you have people, coming in every single day, telling you how much to price your stuff, trying to say you're trying to rip people off now because of the price points, things of that nature. That is a challenge that we don't think about.
Yeah, that I can guarantee you that is a very big challenge. There's a price. What people don't understand about, slavery is that when you have 400 years of free labor, things are different for you. You can, you have accessibility to all types of things that, the other people on the other side do not. I find value in paying the more that's required. If it's going to a Black household, if it's going to the Black employees, I find value in that. Because guess what? I grew up in the inner city of Chicago. That means that every time I would go to the corner store, the bodega, I have no questions asked.
Period.
You give them the $1.
That's it.
They can even double the price on us. We don't ask no questions. We don't ever say, these prices are way too high, I'm going somewhere else. The food be stale as hell. Chips been on the floor for 18 months. We don't have no complaints. And I think those are some of the challenges that we face as a community. But yeah, I'm glad that you overcome a lot of that consistently. Let me ask you, do you have like a box subscription or something like that? When I think about the beauty supply products, and I remember the curl box, I don't know if she still does it, but it's like it feels as if that's a beautiful dynamic that could run through your store.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. We haven't done any like subscriptions, but we do have a lot of other programs that we teach that people need to have in order to foster loyalty within their store. So trying to get people to shop with them. But Curl Box was an amazing thing that Myleik Till did, and I know she had retired that business probably like 5 years ago. But it's something that we should think about.
I think about that too, because what's happening in the social media era, you have all the girls who do the makeup, all these different things, and you being a liaison for the beauty industry, it could be a beautiful partnership. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm a thinker that way. Once I hear something, my brain starts saying, I start connecting dots. I just start, so excuse me for that.
I love it.
I just would like to say that it's our time. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to take the moment and just do not forget that this was brought to you by flynubianmoney.com. This is the place where you go when you want to grow. This is the place where you go when you want to get your money up. flynubianmoney.com. Janice and I, we're not done working together in any capacity. I hope to see her more. I hope that we can do more together. I hope that you all will take the time. I'm going to let you have the last word too, Janice. I'm just going to finish telling them to text Queens to 87948, because this is where you also get your money up. If you want to keep up with Madam President, text Madam to 87948. Also, Janice, this is where you all can follow her. Janice, I'll let you have the word. Give them your best two-step on, where to find you and things of that nature.
Yes, well, you guys can find me on Instagram, The Retail Genius, also on YouTube, on all the platforms, The Retail Genius. And I will leave with this. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. This was a pleasure. I am so fired up this year. I just feel like God is moving in this space. I feel like the DEI shutdown is working for us, and we need just more Black representation. Mm-hmm. And if you felt in your soul that you want to open a beauty supply store, this is something that you want to do in your community, reach out to me, DM me, and let's work.
Absolutely. I just would like to say that I heard someone say this and I'm running with it. It said, thank you, for the ending of the so-called DEI. It was a lie, but now it's DIY. We will do it ourselves, So that's what it is. No DEI, but DIY. Yeah. So this is one of the first steps. As a girl who has been going to the beauty supply store for years, I'm very lazy now. I don't go anymore. But I will say that when I come to New York, I should be in New York at some point between April and May. I will make sure I come see your store and support and bring as many people as I can with me, even if just a handful of folks, okay? And I just want to say thank you for being here with us, ladies and gentlemen. You know that we do this every single Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. This is the Madam President Morning Show, the place where you will get real news, bold truth, and I am always 100% politically incorrect. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.